loud.
Wow. Okay,
Are you putting it up here? You're just gonna-
Yeah.
I
it's
can
just,
turn this
it's
around.
observe only, so. Still got a couple of minutes here, but we'll hop right into it.
What is that?
It's my.
Little pouch?
I don't get it.
That is cute.
Is
Yeah.
it- It's from the immersive experience in Rochester.
I so need to do
So
that.
awesome.
I'm
They're
so
gonna-
intrigued.
They're gonna do a Frida Kahlo one too.
They're
You like
doing a whole
Frida?
bunch.
I love Frida.
I just need to go down.
It's a good date, you know,
Mhm.
night and a
Mhm.
trip to
Okay.
the immersive experience.
Yeah, we're in the final minute.
Okay.
We're close. We'll call this meeting to order. Thank everyone for coming. This is a
Do you have a choice?
public, well, it's a public hearing, so you could have probably chosen to be late. This public hearing, we've had, this will be the second public hearing on the village budget for the year 2022, 2023. This budget, after our last work session, had been modified slightly. This is now a $6,935,578 budget. That leaves us at 1.99% of the tax cap. The maximum levy is 2%, and we just stayed just slightly under it. The tax rate would increase by rounding up 7 cents. So it's just slightly over 6 cents per thousand. The also includes a water and sewer increase of 2% for village users and a similar dollar amount for rural water and sewer users. Should be stated that the annual compensation proposed for the mayor is $8,529.23. The annual compensation for each trustee is $3,980.31. With that being said, if there's any members of the public here that would like to comment, we'd be happy to take those comments at this time. In addition, I did not receive any comment submitted to me via email or regular mail. A lot of hard work has gone into this. It's taken a substantial amount of everyone's time. And I think at this point, we have a good budget. But again, your input from the public is what we're looking for. So, has anyone joined us, Sally?
Soon.
Okay.
No masters.
Okay.
I ask her if she has comments.
Now this is observe only on online.
Oh, so you have to come here to have, got it.
Yep.
The footage has no questions.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Suna. We're so happy to have you here, Suna.
So we'll just wait for the appropriate amount of time and then we'll move on. With not huge increases, we don't.
Right.
get a
We
lot
didn't
of
do
comment.
anything that
Right.
Stir up the
Stirred up
public's
the-
interest.
interest apparently.
Well, I think we've done a fine job of keeping things under the
Yes.
tax cap. And I think, doing our diligence on that is important. And that tax levy has not gone up and our rates have stayed very, very close. The increase in water rates is to, water and sewer rates is to help build some buffer so that as we move forward with projects, we will be able to, have some money, well, have, people have adjusted to the higher rates. That's how you're gonna pay for it. The user will pay.
Well, I have said this at our previous hearings, but I'll say it again. I also really appreciated the process this time around. After our audit, I've said this, but I'm just saying it again. We learned a lot. I feel like I have a much more intimate knowledge of what's where in the budget. I'm sure there were many times that Sally didn't feel very patient, but I appreciate the patience very much. And the time that was spent answering questions and giving us guided tours and it really, it feels very good to have. I think not only to have, have been all in this together. I feel like having the chance to all hear the questions and hear the answers and have a better understanding is a really important part of the process.
Take a seat. Take a seat. Since there's no one here from the public, we're just gonna sit and wait. See if anybody walks in over the next 10 minutes.
Carol, in response to your comments, I did appreciate the process this year. I mean, the last 2 years we were involved in COVID. Everything was by Zoom and online, and it was not a good process. So I do appreciate the process this year.
So that little asterisk where she said mostly in her head.
Mostly. I wrote that before, mostly. Richard's iPhone has joined us.
Probably Grover.
Well,
Or is there
because
another Richard that come?
it's been coming
Well, it's our
regularly.
Arbor Day stuff, so maybe.
It's okay, there's, they can
Kevin.
observe. Open a window.
Hey, Chief,
80.
you have a window behind you?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, there is a
definitely.
window.
Can you,
I said, can you open it? You just, no,
you have to flip open.
Once my hair grow back, I'm good with all of it.
Oh, that's a nice breeze already.
That
Ooh.
is nice.
Good idea.
I have never had a windier Florida
Really?
ever.
It's windy down there.
Windy, it was cold, but I won't complain because I didn't have snow, so that was.
You were in
thank you for
Daytona?
bringing this day back.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right, it was beautiful today.
got in the
Yeah.
truck this afternoon and it said 83. I was like, what?
She really said that?
What happened?
That is awesome.
I know.
It was sunny enough, which is
Yeah.
great, but the ocean was pretty,
Wild.
yeah, there were days. The undertow was not good. There were not, nobody was in the ocean, but
That's scary.
yeah.
Hmm.
So people are smart about it, at least.
This is so fun.
What else did you do besides beach?
We went to a Tortugas game. They are AA baseball
Oh, okay.
and they are the Turtles.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah, that was a pretty good game. We went to Jacksonville and saw Rob's great aunt, so the girl's great great aunt. She'll be 96 in June. We haven't seen her in 3 years, so it was
Oh, wow.
so amazing. Yeah, and he's got there are a bunch of cousins who we always go out to dinner. So it was the night that we get dressed up and have a really nice dinner with
Very
her.
sweet.
So it was great to see her. So that was another thing. And then we just kind of chilled out. We went to the top of Daytona restaurant, which was cool too. But yeah. The beach is all they really wanted.
What more can you want?
Right. And we don't do like Disney and Epcot and all that stuff very often.
Jerry, did you have warm beach weather? Was it cold?
It's very cold, yeah.
Did you have a lot of wind? 'Cause I had wind
Uh,
like crazy.
Actually, Easter weekend, there was a lot of wind,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. But there were a lot of white caps on the
Yeah.
ocean. I mean, nobody was venturing.
Right.
Yeah.
We had a prom dress as well. That was
All
a
right
big
then.
accomplishment.
I admitted Toby, but he has disappeared.
Well, you know, broadband where he lives.
Mhm.
Perhaps we should do something about that.
Thought.
Sorry, sorry.
Oh,
I thought it was
What did I do to
funny.
you?
There's an idea.
Tim, I don't think
Who
I've
thought
seen
of
you
that?
since we first appointed you. I hope that the first couple weeks has been
Yeah.
awesome.
He's still here,
so that's good.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, they all decided if I made it for 1 week, I was fine.
You're gonna be,
Yeah.
you're gonna be okay. Well, you clearly have been outside too.
Not
Big part
talk
of your
slowly about that.
No.
Okay.
Oh.
It was 82 today. I went for a walk,
Oh,
up the street and back.
okay.
I didn't.
Miss Sally couldn't.
Therein lies the issue.
Can't you have walking meetings
You know,
outside?
I will
Well, that would be
say,
good. So, well, yeah, that would be wonderful.
I was reminded today of why I really didn't like Monday board meetings.
Oh, yes.
I'm glad we've moved to Wednesday.
I'm glad that this is.
Because it's a really long day.
It's just,
It's
you
just
know, I
hard.
She's
feel
not
like-
ready for Monday meeting.
I mean, I'm ready, but it's just the getting ready is harder and there's stuff you want to just, I don't know, I just don't like it.
Well, like I said to Carol earlier, I started my vacation meeting with all of you until like 9 at night. And now I'm back and I'm bookending it with ending. my
So
vacation meeting with you.
basically, you're just telling us that we're like your favorite
People,
people. and
yeah.
You have to, you know.
No,
100%.
I know,
this is the second one I've done.
I noticed they were back. I wasn't here anymore.
We'll see if they continue. March had a shamrock.
The little thing.
Yes,
I
remember
like
he used to
those.
do
I
this
used
for
to
a
do
while.
I noticed it. I was like, oh, that's cute.
Well, you know.
I like it.
Clever.
Something to brighten things up.
You have to- I mean, you know, there's only so much work you can do to an agenda, you know, you might as well have a little thing.
If you print it in color, you got.
Oh,
Okay, why don't we, there's no one else from the public here that needs to comment. You know, you do, it's time to say it, and if not, we will conclude this public hearing. If anyone needs to step out for a moment, take a break, come back here in 2 minutes.
Well, Mike and I have been meeting since 5, so.
You know, I haven't had anything to eat either. I was gonna go get something to eat.
I got carrots and celery sticks. No, no chicken
Sounds
wings.
good. It smells really good, doesn't it?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Downstairs.
Oh.
Pretend we were
Yeah,
magistrates.
there are a lot of them.
That's where the smell is
Oh,
coming from.
yeah.
Mm.
There you go.
Well, you know what they
smell
say,
nothing.
you know, if you don't bring enough to share,
Yeah, right?
we should just let them know that they need to share.
I'm with you.
Okay. Why don't we call this meeting to order? Item. First order of business. Approve minutes from the 16th, March 16, March 28th, and March 30th.
Wow.
It's a lot.
There's one more to come too, so. But this is what I got done.
Yeah, nope, that's fair.
Wait.
The 7th we had.
Did they in the drive?
Hmm?
Did they in the drive?
No, these were, yeah, they were this afternoon.
Late.
Yes,
Okay.
They're there.
they were on,
They
Web
weren't when I
page.
downloaded yesterday, probably.
yeah. they were.
Okay.
I wasn't at the March meeting. I have one small correction for that, which is that Anna Summers' name is Sommer. I don't know that that's imperative, but I thought I would tell you.
Mm.
And I don't know if now's the right time to ask this question or wait for Megan's report, but I was curious about Bobby Helm's leave. It was listed in the thing as being the annual leave was approved. Does that mean it's gonna be every year or was it just approved for this year?
I think it's right now, it'll be annually until,
On a year by year basis?
Yeah.
It's not in perpetuity.
No, he just leaves for 2.5 months in summer.
Right, but what I couldn't tell from the minutes was, did the board approve that for every year or just for this year?
My understanding is this letter was for every year,
Got it.
unless he changes his mind.
That's what it sounded like in the minutes. Thank you.
okay,
Wait,
need a
is this the
motion.
one going fishing? Well,
So
I didn't
moved.
realize it was over here.
Second,
Second. Except I wasn't here in March.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Department head reports.
I'm reminded where I don't like this room.
Sally, you don't have to keep that turned around. If you-
Well, I just thought it's kind of a security blanket for some people,
Yeah, some of us,
but it's all right.
but not if it's causing you a problem.
I just have to check.
Well, on top of my list is the golf course.
I was downstairs.
First, woo-woo.
I have your report.
I had Wi-Fi issues over the weekend, so I couldn't get it out.
Okay.
Phone was not working too good. So I don't know if you got 3 copies of it.
Well, got 3 copies of it eventually, but I have 1 copy that I printed. Off to a flying start.
Yeah, it's considering the wonderful weather we've had in April, which hasn't been very good. Golf course is doing pretty good for having bad weather.
Okay.
Very good. Membership appears to me is going to be more members than we had last year. And yesterday was a very good day yesterday because the weather was so nice.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
We were busy all day and we're still busy right now, so
Good.
Hey,
good.
Great.
there's
And
great.
what's been the reaction to the greens fee and the cart
No,
increases?
I've had 1 complaint,
Good.
that's it.
If
And
you
I
didn't have
expect-
one, you'd think that no one noticed.
Well, I have to tell you, it's still a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And people realize that,
Mhm.
and they like the golf course, they like everything about it, so.
Great.
It's, and the tournaments are coming back too, so, which is a good sign.
Mhm.
Yeah, because the last 2 years we were losing tournaments, and now they're all coming back. So that's a real good sign.
Okay. Anything else for Kevin?
I'm still working on the golf package with Fairfield Inn. And
Okay.
I've been getting Canadian calls, and I've been telling them to call over there to make the reservations. So I think that's gonna work out pretty good when it gets settled.
Right.
I have to meet with the regional manager, which only comes here once a month.
Okay.
So when I catch up to him or her, or whoever it is, we'll have that finalized.
And Kevin popped in today and I mentioned to him that somebody said to me the other day, maybe this was at EDSC, I can't remember where, but somebody mentioned, the thing that I said to you about maybe working on packages with the B&Bs.
Yeah.
So I thought I would send him the link to the,
Yeah.
that list of B&Bs.
Yeah,
Just
just
so
send
he
it to me
can-
and I'll put it on the website.
Yeah, and I think it wouldn't hurt to, they all have email addresses,
Yeah,
send them an
I'll
email
talk to
and
the
say,
people. I think it'd be a great idea.
yeah, I think so too.
For sure.
And some of them are nice and close. Yeah, okay, I said I would do that and I forgot already, so I wrote it down this time.
Okay, anything else? Good,
I'd like
Thank
to
you.
stay, but I gotta put away a bunch of cards.
Okay,
have fun with that.
glad you got to be
Appreciate
there.
it.
See ya.
Thanks,
Thought it
Kevin.
was a good day
Okay,
today.
you have the assessor's report.
You too.
She isn't here. Next is ED. Hi. Doing okay?
Yeah, I guess the only
Anything to add?
updates to that is that, some of you know, maybe not others, but we submitted our consultation form for the CDBG CARES Act funding and got a response that they have more requests in the pipeline than there is funding. So at this time, we are not being invited to do a full application. They have released more than one notice of funding availability. I don't know if they will continue to have funding for it or not. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see on that. The other thing is that I wanted to remind you that we need to set a date for the presentation of the community.
And that could take a little bit of time.
We told him an hour, right? We did it separately.
Oh, I thought you meant. They,
Yeah,
yeah, I think if we
It's gonna
we
take,
would allow an hour or so. Because I think that, well, the tree committee's been involved and they have seen it.
yep,
So hopefully most of their questions have been answered. But as part of the grant, we said that we would have them do a presentation to the full board. And give opportunity for the public to comment. Or ask
So-
questions.
we need to set something up. It was pretty busy the first week in May. But is there something in the second week in May that the board can,
We need to do this separately from.
yes,
Because it's gonna be long.
it's gonna be a long one.
So the point is, I believe that it's board and public, it's open to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So we would just need to publicize it.
Initially, we had Beth ask about it being during the regular meeting, and then it suggested that they may need more time than could be
The tree
allotted
committee. They
during
need more time.
a regular meeting. So
Okay.
I talked with Mike about it. And he suggested maybe doing a different date. Standalone.
We'll do a standalone, for that.
What about Thursday, the 12th?
That happens to be the night of the town board meeting.
I thought they were with me.
Sorry, I didn't ever change it on my calendar.
5,
Get to May.
12, 22. Who,
I can do 12.
12.
Or like 6:30 or 6. I could even do 6.
Didn't go away. I'm working on it.
Klaus, you're good?
Yeah, I can make that work probably.
What time?
What did you say, 6?
6.
Well, I think we're at 6 o'clock if,
Yeah,
Make it here?
no, Thursday.
Yep, 6 will work.
okay, we'll do that.
So this is the community forest management plan presentation.
Yep.
Okay. And that'll be here
We'll
in the
be,
courtroom.
well, it'll be either the courtroom or here, wherever
Okay.
what's available. We'll have to check.
Well, if we're doing it if we're inviting. the
Yeah, we're gonna
public,
try to do it downstairs. That's,
Yeah.
Okay.
And probably Zoom too.
yeah, we'll put it on. So,
All right, then.
anything else for Lee?
Will be able to be participation by Zoom or just?
Yeah, we're gonna do it. That's the other reason why we're gonna do it this way.
I don't
Can I just ask about the, if the Department of State is allowing us to proceed with the Willow Island?
As
Bid?
long as it meets our procurement policies, then yes.
Okay,
We are, we have a meeting date set up with them to come present to us.
great.
The committee's gonna meet them and have a presentation, and then the committee is gonna score them and make a decision if we want to go forward with their proposal.
Lee and Varick and I met, and given increases in costs of things and all, it's a little different than we originally conceived, but I think we think it's a good to go forward with.
Okay, great.
And I did check with Sally. Did you check with the town on the procurement policy?
There is nothing in their policy that the villages was the one that was concerning to me. The towns doesn't say, I haven't spoken to Mary Ann about it, but I have reviewed their policy and it doesn't say that they have to do
Right.
anything for a professional service.
And I did check with her, and she confirmed what we said. That we're good.
And then I guess my only other thought was you noted in your report that we need to confirm interest from town and village for the LWRP application, which is the rec assessment, but also including our request to prepare the Grass River LWRP.
What is
So
that?
I think that's on
Oh,
the
wow.
agenda
What is
for.
that?
Wednesday.
local waterfront revitalization plan.
Okay. Is that on the joint
Yeah,
meeting agenda?
it is.
It is,
Mhm.
okay.
My only other thought about it is, and I can say this Wednesday too, is that if we go forward with this consultant for the Willow Island piece and we don't have the money that we need to complete construction, we could also ask for phase two
For Willow Island.
implementation for Willow
Yeah.
Island.
I think the only thing I was gonna say, I can say this Wednesday. The only thing I was gonna say about it is I think from the conversations that we've had with all those various folks, it seems to me that we need to submit the application for the designation or that submit the grant to go through the process of the
Yeah.
application for the designation at the same time in order to increase our chances that we'll get the other grant.
We'll get the points for it if we do that,
Right.
is what I got.
That's
from
what
that
I
conversation
interpret too.
Yeah. But
And I think
also
we
if we
should-
include implementation and add that in, these grants, they like to see several components.
Right,
For some reason. And if there's an implementation piece in there, that'll give us implementation piece. too.
right.
So that's another thought. But we would need to probably, it depends on if we hire them and how far along we are by the time we
Right.
submit this in July also.
Sure.
So,
Right.
what we know, yeah, right. If we have budget numbers or, we may not be far enough along to do that. But just a thought.
Before the meeting Wednesday, we should probably talk about that, because I think
Yeah.
it makes sense to be ready to outline that information we got in our call and everything, so people understand the various.
Yeah, I
pieces
don't
of that.
remember folks from the town around that photo.
I think they were.
Okay, yeah, I
when she
don't
did the
remember.
Presentation,
Yeah.
I think they were, 'cause I think
Okay.
we intentionally waited. until they were on board. I have to review it too. It was just more consulting.
Anything else? Okay. Tim, Nolan,
Right?
go.
Any questions on my report?
No, I don't. Anybody? We're in good shape.
Thanks, Tim.
Historian is not here. Jim. Police,
Oh, sorry.
you're in La La Land over there.
Sounded like Tim.
I don't have a lot. One thing I wanted to add to my report, happy to answer any questions. I know that there's a topic of discussion is next door this evening. I know that it's being brought up on Wednesday. And I just wanted to throw out one other thing. Wednesday, the 18th at 3 o'clock in the morning, one of my officers was leaving the police department, caught a person underneath one of our personal vehicles, scoping it out, we believe. Didn't have tools with him, but he was arrested for having a meth that he had in his pocket. Which brings me to my point
Wow.
is numerous times through the years, we've had patrol vehicles be damaged, we've had personal vehicles belonging to officers damaged. We do have cameras, but I just wanted to throw that out just so that you're all aware that, I don't know what the discussions are about next door or whatever you all have in mind, but I just wanted to throw it out. That's just one more thing
Mhm.
for your information. The old building needs some work or needs whatever you folks decide, but I just wanted to throw that out. That
Yeah.
there are some upgrades that can be made outside maybe. And I don't know what the answer is, but just wanted to make you aware of it. But I'm also happy to answer any questions. about that.
Under the car, shit.
So what
Well, I parked over in the camera section tonight.
There was somebody under his, a personal vehicle, and there's been a problem with thefts of exhaust pipes.
Catalytic converters.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
happened here in this parking lot?
Yes,
Wow,
Good thing they didn't just.
in the middle of the
back
night.
up.
you wouldn't think, you know.
Well,
Right.
They stole a catalytic
Had
converter off
taillights
the deep.
broken, headlights broken,
Jeez.
Really?
antennas twisted. My antenna on my old truck was twisted into a pretzel.
What happened to the
cameras here?
We have cameras,
Is there?
unless you're staring right at them, you know, so
Cameras
it's-
are always so good.
I just wanted to just throw that out.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
thank
So
you.
the public is aware.
That's crazy.
Any other questions for, anything else,
Oh,
Eugene?
wait, let's see.
While she's looking, I was just gonna say, thanks for putting the picture of the kiosk and putting this information out. I mean, be good if we could like put that on Facebook and stuff, let people know.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's a great thing for our community.
Yep.
And yeah, if you put it on yours, then we can share it with the other one. And,
Yep. A lot of the police departments and Kinney's, I know,
uh-huh,
are doing very similar things.
yeah,
Mhm.
And it doesn't cost the village a dime. so.
yeah, that's really wonderful.
Yeah, that's great.
So, Jim, my question is the same that I bring up every 3 or 4 months. I know you do your reports monthly. And this time it gets to be all the way to the 25th. Anything big that's happened since the end of March when you, which we can look forward to reading in your next report, but anything,
Just in general,
yeah.
not necessarily arrests.
No. I'm just thinking, I feel like when I read those reports, it's just such old news. And so I feel like because you do monthly, and I get that, and I get
Right.
that's the system, so whatever. But it would be helpful to me if you would just sort of think through like what's, like,
We
we've had
had
25 whole days in this month since that report.
we had a SUNY Potsdam student come to want to interview a couple officers about rape investigations, just for their input for a report that they were working on. That was actually, the officers were pretty impressed with the questions. So that was good. We have a ride-along student from Hewelton who's in the criminal justice system or program. She was with us for about a week. And it was pretty cool. We took her up to SUNY Canton, we showed her around the police academy.
Oh, that's great.
She was pretty impressed. She's thinking about SUNY Potsdam, but I don't know which one she leaned toward. She got to see the court and the courtroom and how the police department works, so.
Is she-
that was
is she
pretty
at-
cool.
Seaway,
Uh,
one in Norwood. She's good.
Governor,
Okay.
I think that's where Hewelton is.
Oh, maybe that's, oh, you said Hewelton. That's,
Yeah, she's a Hewelton student.
That's great.
that is really great.
Those are two big
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Cool.
Anything else? Okay. Brett,
Alright.
I haven't forgotten about you.
So just some highlights, the pavilion's pretty much been booked almost every night with Pee Wee baseball and lacrosse. Because we've had some lousy weather. We're starting to get outside now, which is nice. We had a meeting with Canton Canoe Weekend people, everybody involved. So that is coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, May 6th, 7th, and 8th. 7th is the big day. If you'd like to attend it, the dedication for the ADA launch is Saturday morning at 9 a.m. The launch is getting delivered this Saturday. It is coming off the truck at 7 a.m.
Oh, wow.
So the driver is coming up the night before and spending the night and getting it off Saturday morning.
Say that again, Megan, when
When is it getting
is it gonna get off the truck?
delivered? Us this Saturday morning, 7 a.m.
And the what you call it, the dedication,
The dedication
9
is
a.m.
May 7th at 9 a.m.
Absolutely not.
Here, the weekend of April 9th, we were pretty busy. We had the Maple Run. We were also, instead of Peter Rabbit in the Park, it was Peter Rabbit in the Pavilion.
Yes, it was.
And then we also had 2 birthday parties also, so that was a fun weekend.
Nice that things are
And
picking up.
Yeah, it
then
is.
Yeah, it is.
some updates. I forgot to put this on RSI. They came out to the pavilion on April 6th to fix our roof that was damaged in the windstorm last fall. So that was covered by insurance. That's all patched up.
Nice.
Great.
Still waiting to hear about the front door for insurance, but just waiting.
What happened to the front door?
It got damaged in 2 windstorms.
Ah, just like blown open.
Blown open, cinder blocks basically detached from the
Oh,
building.
wow.
Oh,
We've glass
Unusual.
shattered. We have
It's all
pieced
building.
it back together for the time being.
But it's got plywood over the window. I
Right, it's
mean,
all secure.
Was that about a week ago?
No,
The first time was
Been a
last
while.
fall. And then April 14th, pickleball was in session. We got the nets out on Presque. I have also secured a professional to do the resurfacing of the courts out of Saratoga, who is within budget. So my staff doesn't have to make up what we're doing. So that's exciting. We're on his schedule for the end of June, all weather dependent. So he's one of the recommended installers from the company that we ordered the product from. So he knows the product that was previously ordered by Marty. He knows what we have. So he's gonna work with what we have. All I have to do is buy the sand that mixes, it makes a textured surface. And then he just had to buy some cracked patch repair. So we have 3 cracks that we just want to fix. He actually drove up from Saratoga to Preskill on a rainy day. And he said that whoever put that court in knew what they were doing, because it's actually sloped in 3 different ways.
not always what we
So
hear.
we have a really good base. So
Not always what we hear.
I know.
he has a positive outlook on it. So
Good,
it's
great.
Great.
Sorry, I got you.
good
we
to
have a
hear.
great base, and he should be able to get it done within a week. And my guys and myself will go out and help him and try to just make it as quick as possible for him. This past weekend, we had a handful of St. Lawrence volunteers. They came out to Bend in the River Park, picked up sticks and debris and stuff like that. And then we started painting the bathhouse at Taylor Park today. We're trying to get that done for new weekend. So we just have to keep weather above 50 degrees for the paint, so even at night. So we're just hopeful to get that done.
Oh, boy.
And other than that, that's it.
Busy, busy.
Questions for Megan?
Good stuff, Megan.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you.
This isn't really for Megan, but it's my plug, and because I was gonna say it when Linda did her thing. Just as a reminder, I think the canoe race stuff is really great. I will unfortunately be out of town for a funeral, but I hope everybody can be at as much of that as they can, because it's big for the community, it's big for all the volunteers. And on Sunday at Tawny, there's going to be an event that we've opened up the back parking lot for, about the end of their Hornbeck exhibit. So really, really great stuff going on in the community that weekend. So plus the 7th is Anna's birthday.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, I'm glad you announced
She can park
that.
if you
Did you get that in the minutes?
I did.
Got that for the paper, Tom?
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Saturday's the big day, so. we're gonna have-
Saturday's the big day.
yeah,
Do you hear
We'll
it?
have
I'm gonna mark that down. Really?
GT's Restaurants, they're doing the barbecue chicken, so they're gonna have the pits out, so. And then Sunday morning is the pro division, and then they're all heading over to Tawny afterwards, so.
That's really cool.
Megan, did you say it has to be 50 at night too?
Yeah,
That
for the
doesn't look too
paint.
good for you, honey.
Well, today was our best shot,
And he started, right?
yes, he
So there
started,
you go.
and luckily he was doing the eaves today, so it did get rained on.
Perfect.
Okay,
It looks really good.
anything else? Last but not least, Tim. He didn't do a written report. He's been going through some of the reports that were there and trying to get a sense of, how things worked and what he was gonna do. He just thought he'd highlight a couple of things. today.
Yeah, was it state number 7, I think?
Yeah.
No, everybody's been really good as far as just kind of showing me around and informing me about, all the multiple things that are going on constantly here and different layers of it as well. But, just this quick blurb about our guys, we've got going on. They're obviously, everybody can see them around town picking up brush right now. And then the windstorm, that probably set them back another day. It's most likely a bunch of homeowners too. They're gonna be doing some hot patching, which is more permanent, at least for the summer, later in the week into next week. We just want to see temperatures above freezing for a while, because it'll be pointless in doing that if it's not. They've already run around once with the sweeper, maybe 1.5 times. They'll continue that throughout the summer. This sweeper, I wasn't really familiar with it, but you guys just got it last year. And this is
Late in the.
this is a lot better machine than your previous machine by far. MSHA training, that's mine, safety training, got that organized for this Wednesday with Potsdam.
What does that stand for?
Mine Safety Health Administration. So anytime you have an open mine, there needs to be some people that have taken this training.
We have open mind.
Yes. Up in uplands, that's where our sand comes from.
Oh, gotcha.
And actually, they've been up there working, taking off, what they do, maybe another half an acre or so of trees and whatnot, and he's done his berms around there like you're supposed to, and getting it prepared for more mining operations. I don't know how much more you really want. I'm gonna meet with Mark. Mark from wastewater was not in last week, so I'm gonna meet with him 6 a.m. tomorrow. So I want more of a full in-depth look at everything that's going on over there. We had,
Well, in depth, yeah, that takes on new meaning when it comes to the sewer side.
Carol doesn't want to.
And
talk
Carol
about it.
loves to talk about the sewer side.
And Mike is relentless on.
Oh, I'm happy to share with her.
yeah, so that,
You got your waiters right there.
Well, they go out in their dinghy out there and
Oh, my God.
measure depth.
the DPW's getting some garage door openers taken care of. They've done spray foam in there, and there's issues with the heaters. So I kind of jumped in the middle of that now too. They're all in the process now of being taken care of. Golf, the mowers that were procured because of a supply issue were not showing up for the greens. So they found another one, and we're in the process of getting one.
It's
Instead of
not,
two.
not ideal for the course, but it'll suit us for the time being. Not ideal for a greens mower, but it'll.
We
because
can
it's
only do what
new.
we can do, right?
Well,
What's available.
Right.
it's what's available and has to do with what's driving the reels. Because hydraulics are a problem on those reels. If you break one while you're mowing a green, you're gonna ruin a green, so.
And I've talked to somebody about nuisance removal on the golf course.
Yeah.
And
Is that new player?
Is that, I was gonna say.
Well, yeah.
Security.
That
What do you
goes
mean is
towards
security?
the flooding.
flooding issues out there.
Sorry, the recording didn't pick that.
And we'll be talking with the county and possibly other contractors about who we're going to use for paving coming up.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank
Any other
you.
questions?
That's projects.
Thank
Hope the
you.
fire hose calms down a little bit soon for you. Good work, Tim. Welcome
Okay, I
aboard.
don't think I left anybody out. So need a motion to approve.
Why,
department
Sally?
head report. Oh, Sally, I'm sorry. I did leave her out.
I wasn't gonna say a word, but.
Unfortunately, I have.
And then this, Carol.
Yeah, so I didn't do a formal written report. I did get the budget report out late today, but I did want to, I know there's a couple things that are on the agenda, the cyber liability insurance,
Yeah.
which the board kind of pre-approved,
Uh-huh.
but just to say that it was $1 million coverage for $2,233 annually. I think that's an extremely good
Yeah.
investment for the board at this point in time.
Mhm.
And the other thing was water and sewer unpaid bills going to taxes, the total amount this year, because you remember last year we couldn't levy those,
Yeah,
is $128,647.26. And if anybody wants that list, I'd be glad to scan it and email, or you can stop in and look at it. But those are some highlights that I wanted to let you know.
so that's last year's, like,
That's
that's
last year
and this year's,
Yes.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
Sally, I have a question. So the budget report you sent to us today is in fact the one we've been looking at for our budget stuff, right? It was the
Correct.
End of March.
March, yeah.
So that means what we were looking at, we still have all of April and all of May.
Yes.
I mean, for that. I wanted to be sure I was clear on it. And I wondered, do you do any, like, once it gets to be May 1st or anything, like an all-call for people, like to be sure they know that, like, they got to buy things from last year's budget?
Oh, I can tell you they know right now because the pile of
They're
stuff.
doing
was-
They are doing
They're
it.
doing it,
But
okay.
I would be glad to send out an email to all department heads saying, if you've got
Yeah,
projects happening, you need to have those bills in by a certain date so they can be paid
Right,
before
Right.
May
We-
31st.
At our May meeting, we'll set a final meeting for
Right.
paying bills at
right.
the end of the month.
Sure.
right.
So-
I get, but I just wondered if you did
Yeah.
like a big broadcast to remind people, so.
No,
they
but I
can-
would be glad to do that.
Almost the end.
It
Okay,
is.
thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to approve all that report.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay. Committee reports. I'm sure we have some committees to report. Who's first?
Sure.
I'll start. Public safety, the Community Engagement Committee met. What day that was, I do not remember at this point, but they met this,
Last
it was,
Wednesday.
it was,
A Wednesday.
yeah, a couple weeks ago, just started planning for, the, Dairy Princess Parade, or Dairy Parade, or whatever it's called.
Festival. Dairy
Festival.
Festival? Perfect.
Mhm.
I will get that
Festival.
in my head.
Good, yeah, we'll
Mhm.
use the right language. So that, I think that was it for public safety for the last.
Mhm.
Infrastructure, well, we've been busy. So budget stuff, as well as meeting with Tim, and Lee. Looking at the water project coming at us. We have some substantial, I believe is the word, numbers on.
Well, the preliminary engineering report is out for the
Yes.
projects that we've identified. So,
Um,
and then that's what you need to move forward.
Right. So not much to report, other than we've been doing a lot of meeting, and imagine that there's a lot more coming our way here in the next couple of months, especially as we move into grant season. That's infrastructure. Broadband. I didn't get it on the agenda, but I
Well,
sent out a
You
recommendation.
sent out a report.
I did. Do you want me to talk about that now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I sent around the recommendation from our broadband committee. As you see, we are recommending that we complete that we embark on, shall we say, 2 courses of action rather simultaneously. The first is to put out RFPs to attract vendors who are already servicing areas near the addresses in the town that are not currently served according to current definitions of what it means to be served. The thing that I have learned is that as fast as you figure out what something means, what a definition, what a standard, what a metric is, when we're talking about broadband, it changes. And so actually, that's part of the reason why the second recommendation is also something we'd like to pursue, which is to pursue put our RFP for consulting for around municipal broadband networks, which would be municipally owned fiber. The goal would be to undertake a cost analysis, a feasibility study to understand if that is even something that is
Doable.
feasible. And if there is the interest and the will in the community. It's a very hot topic. There are a lot of communities are considering this right now. It does seem to be one of the more sort of forward thinking actions that we could take at this point in time in order to try to think about broadband access, not just right at this particular moment, but going forward. Like, for example, according to the way things look, the entire village of Canton could become unserved in the sense that the definitions of what they are considering to be served broadband are going to change. And coaxial, Toby's there, he could explain this so much better. But coaxial, the coaxial cable will not be considered, that Spectrum uses for most of our internet will not be considered adequate. And so at that point,
Right.
The whole
the
village.
whole
is out.
village will be considered unserved, even though we do have access to the internet. Things like satellite, not considered service. So things are changing rapidly. There's also a lot of money out there to, for communities and particularly in the governor's budget for communities to be considering these kinds of moves. And we think we should. So that's the recommendation. The other piece, I think I mentioned this in my email, the other piece is that John McAdoo, who is from MC Fiber, who did our assessment for us, and that's the big binder report that it lives in the clerk's office that y'all can see. He will be doing a presentation at the joint meeting. And then, so hopefully folks can look at that report, look at the brief 2-pager that we sent around, and have questions at the ready for that. That's where we are.
What does RFP mean?
Request for
proposals.
Request for proposal.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And I don't know if the second option would be an RFP or professional services, but either way, there'd be work to do to figure out how
Yeah,
and
there's-
where we go.
I think there's a lot of questions to be answered.
Yep.
Based on some of what we have received.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
What you presented.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'd be really happy to be hearing, in the coming days, like even before the meeting. But certainly at that meeting or after, what people's, perspectives and thoughts on these things are, because honestly, the thing about this moment is that it is unique in the sense that sort of, I would say that like the floodgates around broadband have kind of opened. It's a big, priority for all kinds of agencies up and down the municipal ladder, as it were. So I think, we should be doing the planning and the investigating that we need to do to make the best sort of
Yeah.
forward-thinking decisions that we can for the
Like,
community.
now's the time to
Yeah.
get on it.
Well, it's the future
Yeah.
of how we can
Yeah. And the-
participate in everything.
Yeah.
And the town is having this conversation as well, and so then obviously, hopefully, we can have it at the joint meeting. I'm done.
Next,
Community choice aggregation, the public education part of it is starting. There will be stuff coming out in media. Carol, thanks for helping get set up for the website. One thing we're gonna need to decide, Jewel has asked me to share this. We have to figure out if we're gonna have public meetings or Zoom meetings when they in June, probably June and July, there'll be public interaction. And I mean, we don't have to decide this minute because things are kind of changing and the COVID numbers are changing. And so we could, but keep that sort of on your radar. that we'll have to decide whether to have public meetings or Zoom meetings.
Can we do a combination? Because in June and July,
Mhm.
especially July, people might not be here.
It's true.
So if they
That's
can
true.
Zoom in.
Yeah.
And at least have that option, I
That-
think that
that
a
will be-
combination, regardless of COVID
Yep.
numbers.
Yeah,
And to your
that'll-
point of
that-
broadband and it needing to work,
That'll give people the option, even if they're here, if they
that would be my
want to do
suggestion.
Zoom, they can. Yeah, good point.
I just
I'll,
would hybrid it.
I'll recommend that to Jules to do
Yeah.
a combination. So that's happening. Complete Streets, we're gonna have another opportunity to have a study, Park Street and Court Street. We've already talked to both Clarkson and the Health Initiative. At the next meeting, I'll have more specific information. But we will have the same thing they did on Judson Street when they did the analysis of Judson and then recommended the improvements. We'll have an opportunity to do that for Park Street and Court Street. And so that's gonna be happening, and I'll have details, and there's a good chance the Health Initiative will help us out with funding for that. So I'll have a report next meeting on that.
What drove Park and Court versus?
Several things, Park Street, where it near the Presbyterian Church, where it narrows like that, it's a dangerous spot for bikes coming in.
Okay.
And we are hoping to figure out a way to make that a safer route to when you're coming in on Park Street. And then Court Street, the entire distance from the Main Street intersection to State Street is a heavy use street. There's a lot of walkers, there's a lot of bikes, there's pretty heavy traffic. And we were hoping to make that a safer route for like kids walking to school,
Sure.
all passenger, all pedestrians and bicycles. So we were just hoping to make sort of the whole downtown strip there a safer bet. And so Eric's gonna come and give us an idea what,
Good.
what can be done and what we, so I'll have more update next meeting and we can see what's gonna happen.
Klaus, when you say that the health initiative might be available to help with funding, if they're not, how
Well, we'll have to, that'll be up to us. If they're not, then we'll
we decide? whether-
decide what we want to do. Yeah.
So are your meetings with Eric now, I mean, we're not committed to him?
No, we're not
Yes,
committed to anything right
I
now.
mean, I think it's great to do it.
We'll be
I
meeting
just
with
think-
him between now and the next meeting, and then I'll report back, and then
Right.
we can decide
Got
what,
it.
and we'll know at that point if the health initiative can help fund it. So I'll have a report next
How
week.
much what did the last one cost?
Their study was around $10,000, and the health initiative paid for all of it. And I'm hoping they will again. But I can't say that right now for sure, but I'll know next week. So I guess that's about it for right now. Oh, yeah, we're meeting with the school, with Canton School. In fact, Thursday morning, we'll be meeting again to work on State Street safety. And also our pedestrian path from the school to Sullivan Drive. We're gonna be out walking that path Thursday morning, if the weather's suitable. And figure out where exactly that path can be, and we're working on the school participating in the whole thing, getting the school involved in that.
And will at that meeting, the sort of finalize what's gonna be happening on State Street there? Is that?
Well, no, not yet. I mean, the school hasn't completely figured out what's gonna happen with the bus pack, the buses coming and going, and
Right.
there's still a lot to be figured out, but we've ordered the traffic signals already for each end of the school zone. Thanks, Sally, for helping a lot with that ordering. So we'll do that part of it and, work on the State Street safety, but as far as the path, that still will require heavy school participation
Oh,
that
yeah.
isn't yet in place. So we're continually working on that.
Two things that you can take back, and I've made Rob aware of it too. The path that's on the softball and baseball fields, is not wide enough for
Mhm.
an ambulance to drive through. We had
Mhm.
a kid break an ankle
Oh,
and.
you mean the little path behind that
Yeah.
path?
And,
Okay.
and the gates
Mhm.
are super tight for any emergency vehicle.
Okay.
So,
Wow.
yes,
Well,
it's
we'll
tight.
keep that in
Crazy,
mind.
It's tight. We
Yeah,
got them, we got them through, but
Yeah,
it's definitely
barely.
tight. So when they're talking about paths and when they,
it's gotta be wider.
I would
And,
think
yeah.
that we would want it.
Yep.
Because an ambulance back there,
It's
when
awful
it's
tight.
soft,
Mhm.
when the ground is soft, could be tough.
We'll keep that in
Or
mind.
Any big emergency kind of.
Yeah, that path back there is just too narrow and it's
Yeah.
kind of curvy and it's not, we need to fix that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that just
On the radar.
on the radar.
Yep.
And what the flashing light,
Mhm.
if it can stay the flash, like the steady flash versus the strobe stuff,
Mhm.
that's a
We're
problem.
working on that, but
Yep.
it's temperature related.
Okay,
I like 53 degrees speed, just FYI, somebody that lives there, that's about the
Temperature
right
related. We're
speed.
trying to figure it out.
Mhm.
53
yeah, that's
degrees.
really weird. Okay,
Mhm.
What's
because
cold and
it,
flashes faster.
well, it's the
Yeah.
strobe.
Oh, really? Sometimes
It knows it's gotta keep warm.
Okay. Just saying, the
Just picked up
strobe kind
either,
of stuff for those of us
Mhm.
who our brain reacts to that
Migraine
Yeah.
with
suffers.
migraine.
It's
It's not good.
problematic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. Yep.
Um,
So thanks. Yeah, we'll keep that in both
I
of
got a
us.
question about that ambulance access. How big is that gate, that road? The width of that road?
You're asking the wrong person. I got the ambulance through.
Okay.
It's not
But
a road.
It's not a road, it's a
path.
It's just a pedestrian path.
It's just a
They're-
pedestrian
they're not-
I
path.
think the
Oh, it's
paved
not
part is
designed for,
4 feet
No,
wide.
no, but it would be nice to.
It'd be
just
handy if
keep
it was
that-
wider.
Keep that in
straighter.
mind. Is all.
Is
And
that
we're,
going over the culvert into the pocket?
No,
no,
no.
No, it's past the parking lot to get back to a field.
Ah.
There are two gates. It's not to get, like, it could get in the parking lot just fine. It was just getting back through.
Oh, I see, getting to the ball field.
Yeah.
Further back in.
We got.
Oh,
got it
getting
through
in the
just
parking lot was no problem.
No.
Okay, got it.
That was.
All right, gotcha.
Okay,
Canton Rec, can I do quick?
Wait, did you have something?
I was just gonna affirm what you're saying in that when we had written a grant a couple years ago for the path through there, the committee really made a point of that trail is not sufficient, that
It's
path
not.
is not sufficient. So that has been on the radar in the
Right.
past too, but I'm glad to hear it bring it up again with a real example.
Yeah,
Mhm. We
So
need
that
much
can-
more. Yep, absolutely.
Well,
Yeah.
you'd want like the width and built as good as like the Remington Trail is that we could drive.
It's not-
Ideally,
it's not a-
Ideally, it
Trucks
would be
around.
just like the
Yeah.
Remington
Yeah.
That
Trail.
way it's easier to maintain. too.
Yep.
right.
And
it-
be able to plow it and, yeah,
We're talking
ideally,
about The path from the school down to the ball field.
We're making it safe for the school kids.
yeah, from the school
No,
down to
it
the
should
ball.
be-
Right, but that path doesn't really exist yet.
Just
There
in our
are.
imagination.
It is part
That's
of,
not-
yes, it's part of a
Right,
dream.
it's in our
So
imagination.
there's a small paved path that's
Behind
it
the
was-
ball field.
behind,
we'll,
like.
we'll
through-
talk about it more.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she's.
Can I just do-
And then I have.
Real quick, can't wreck. We met an hour ago, hour and a half ago. And just to add to what Megan said, we are working on recreation policy for constituents to request community-based projects. So just wanted to mention that's in the works, and that's something that will cover the village and the town, and could potentially be used for beyond, recreation as a for community-based projects. So that was just another add-on in terms of something that we're working on.
So Finance Committee, we've been working on the budget. Sally has worked up monthly reports for department heads, which I believe I understand have begun being distributed. We also worked in this budget on breaking down several of the budgets, principally really the big ones were ED and code, so that the CE line, that's the for contract expenses, now is broken down, so you know like what those are instead of one big lump, which will mean that department heads will continue to be tasked with coding and keep, tracking their own, those expenses, but I think that's gonna make things a lot easier to keep track of, and hopefully after this year, then easier to allocate. The next big priority is filling the treasurer and deputy treasurer positions. Now that we can breathe tomorrow morning, we'll get right back on that. They have been posted. Both of them have been posted. What do you have in the way of applications? Much?
I
Anything?
think there's 5.
So if anybody knows of anybody who might be interested, that would be great. Sustainability. I just, this is not really part of the committee report, but really a successful sustainability day and Green Living Fair for the whole community this past weekend.
Yeah.
And, the Canton Sustainability Committee gets a lot of sort of credit and a lot of exposure at that. Our numbers are a little bit dwindling. So if anybody knows, people in the community who'd like to get involved either on a task or something, that would be great. The compost, we've been working with the DPW and are now, I believe I mentioned this before, that from beginning a few weeks ago, the food waste that is dropped off at the place on Lincoln Street is now being taken to Little Grass Farm. You may remember we approved that arrangement last year. It makes it so that the compost, the resulting compost will be used at Little Grass, which is a community farm, which is very exciting, will not be available to the public, which is the way we originally to the community imagined it. But we were finding that the actual managing of the composting stuff was just a lot and really more than the DPW really could add to their list of things to do. So it is going there. The public can still get the stuff that the guys bring up there, that's the manure and the wood chips and stuff like that. But that's really more of a top dressing, not a compost. So we need to be clear. We're gonna get with Tim and Rick and the DPW to get that place sort of updated. Rick really feels like it needs to be, it's blown over a couple of times, that it really needs to be stabilized and made a little more sturdy. It was sort of thrown up. And he has ideas for that and was going to get some prices together. And then really, I think our signage is okay, not great, but we could improve that. So good stuff. And I really appreciate Rick's help with that. I think we have better communications going there now. So hopefully we can make the improvements we need. The other thing, Lee, that I meant to add when you were talking earlier is in the Economic Development Steering Committee is reviewing the comp plan. We passed the comp plan in October of 2019, and the idea is we don't want it to just sit on the shelf. It needs to be happening, and then of course the world shut down and we basically put it on the shelf. But we've been doing a lot of this stuff. So we're reviewing what we're doing. We're reviewing what we're working on, where we are, what the priorities are. And Lee and we will be working on one of the recommendations is there be an oversight, a comp plan oversight committee. So we're going to need to get a few people to help out with that and be on that, just to monitor it. We'll see or quarterly or something, wouldn't be a big thing. So that's what I got. And that's all.
Any other committees?
Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff.
We've been busy.
Moving along. Okay. Communications and information, I have none, and there is no legislator update. Not here. Moving on to old business. First item is Main Street update. I just will tell you all that we have extended the purchase agreement with McDonald's Corporation for another 90 days. They are working on trying to get that cleaned up. We have provided our phase 1 and phase 2 studies to McDonald's directly. So there'll be more news to come, but that's all I have for you right now. Next item is to discuss and take action on residency exception for the superintendent. I would like to put that on hold for the time being. The reason is that Jerry provided me with a resolution. So resolutions have to sit on the table and be made public for 24 hours prior to the meeting, and I didn't get it till, I don't know, 5 o'clock or so. So we will take care of that. You know, this will be a residency
Okay.
exception for good cause.
Yeah,
And Jerry just formalized it in a way that I think is appropriate for this. So our next
Yep.
meeting will take care of it.
great.
Can we
your
do it on
permission.
Wednesday, quick, or not?
I have not put that out. I can put that on a separate line item.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think it matters though, because there's a significant amount, I mean,
There
in
were,
thery, we have
There's
9
no-
months or
there's
something.
no
yeah, but we're
Okay.
doing, you know, it's our expectation. We're gonna do that, and
Yeah.
we'll just put it on our next meeting.
I think that makes
Understood, yeah.
sense, and we'll publicize that. I mean,
Yeah,
it'll be so that people,
Well, it was publicized
see-
at our last meeting,
right,
but it wasn't, the
I was just
resolution
gonna cross it
wasn't,
off our list.
the
on Wednesday, that's
resolution
all.
wasn't out in public the way it's supposed to be for 24 hours. So,
but I like giving it the time so that people don't think I mean, we're not pulling a fast one, but so it doesn't look like we are.
Sure,
Right.
whatever, that's fine.
So, that being said,
Mhm.
next item is the take action, discuss and take action on the non-contract employee policy. I put that out to you last meeting. Didn't receive any questions from any of you on that.
Well, that's because we were busy doing the budget.
Well, it was our regular meeting.
I
So
know, I'm sorry. I do have just a couple of things to ask. For the non-contract policy, and when I saw this on the agenda, I said, oh, Anna, you should have looked at that already. But just because we are splitting the clerk and the treasurer position, and this would fall under the clerk, should we change the language in that
we,
preemptively, was just my thought.
I asked that question when we were talking about it, and I think my answer was that we were gonna wait till we have those positions and then we can change that. Is that what? was
Yeah.
talked?
Okay.
but it's village clerk / treasurer, so, you know.
So
it
it's still
doesn't- it's
covered.
inclusive.
Mhm.
Yeah. It wouldn't be, it includes all those titles.
No, I mean, sorry, I mean, I guess it's less about the covered titles, although you know what isn't under a covered title is any staff in the economic developer's office.
There.
But they are, that right now is not a full-time job.
This is only full-time.
Right.
It's not a contract.
They're
So
not
all these
contract-
different titles, y'all. come on.
Non-contract FTs.
Okay, FT's got it.
But we
Okay.
can, you know, we can add to this at any time. We can change this at any time.
Wait, I recall that we did talk about that, but would it make sense so that would it make sense to change one line instead of saying, to say, where now it says village clerk treasurer, like to do a parentheses or a thing under that says, or village
It-
clerk and village treasurer, so we don't have to do
If
this
you,
again.
if you choose to pass this tonight,
Yeah,
we can change it with the amendment that you suggest.
okay,
I think that's a good idea.
okay.
Okay, for me, my question wasn't about the covered titles. It was all about the rest of the way through, making it clear what we were talking about, because it looks like it's one person and there will be two.
Is there any
And so
other,
who's the supervisor? It would be the clerk. That's all I was getting at.
is there
yeah.
any other? You have another
Not on the,
question?
no. That's it for that.
Any other question on this? Okay, with the change, I'll take a motion to pass this policy.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the next item is the grievance procedure, which you saw last month with the strike-throughs and changes.
Yeah.
This is with the strike-throughs and changes removed. Carol has indicated she has a question or two. And, you know, where would you
Well-
like to go with this?
I will say, that I wasn't at the March meeting, and I will start with apologies for not having read this more thoroughly until today. So there that is. I appreciate that this is a radical improvement from our last one. And I still find it to be practically impossible to understand, with all due honor and credit to lawyers.
Well, these were,
I mean, the statement of policy, section 1, can I just say, that is one sentence. And if you can wade through that sentence and make sense of it, the more power to you. My thought would be, if we want people to feel comfortable having, that we have a grievance procedure, that if they have a problem, they have recourse, it'd be nice if they could understand it. And I'm not saying that people aren't smart. I can't make heads or tails of this. So that's my first thought. A couple of other things are, so under grievance, it says that this doesn't involve disciplinary proceedings. I don't really understand the whole grievance thing enough, but why would disciplinary proceedings be removed from that? Why wouldn't disciplinary,
proceedings are done by management.
but what if you were disciplined, if you had some discipline thing and you had a grievance about it, that seems like the kind of thing you would grieve, like you would complain about,
Well, there's a process in place.
but not for
discipline.
non-contracts.
Well, there is a process in place for
Civil service.
civil service.
Oh, for
And
civil
it covers
service,
all of
sure.
it.
Everybody
It covers
that's in it.
contesting a disciplinary
Right.
action.
So
and
maybe
it's
that-
Part of,
Would need to say that. And I also found that last sentence, part of that, or matters otherwise reviewable pursuant to law or to any rule or regulation having the force and effect of law.
Our labor attorney reviewed this, so,
I don't doubt that.
and he suggested the changes, so.
I don't
if
mean to, I
there's-
don't mean to be like, seem like I'm being flip. I really do think this is important.
Mhm.
And I think it's important that it be, written in a way people can understand. Okay, then on page 2, I have a question about in the very first one, that if somebody has a grievance as defined above, they have to go to their department head in writing. But what if their grievance is with the department head?
That's one of my
Where-
questions.
Where do they go then? There's no sort of stipulation. And also that within 5 days of the grievance, the department head of the employee shall investigate the grievance. Well, what if it gets against them? There's the term grievance is interchanged with employee and not defined anywhere. I was also interested in I have a question about, seems to me all of this happens, all of this happens, all of this happens, and the board doesn't know anything about any of it until the mayor makes a decision that is then still grieved. So is that right, that all that time it's all without the board's?
It's a series of steps is what
Mhm.
it amounts to. And this is the very similar, the complicated one is what's in most of the contracts. So what would have to happen is that after, we accept this on the non-contract side,
Yeah,
you would have to try to get that into,
to be consistent.
the
consistent
contract
in the
side. right.
contracts with
Right.
DPW and water
Mhm.
wastewater. So there would be a negotiation piece on that. But that's all.
But I guess I'm still.
So if you have problems with the wording here, and you obviously do, why don't you put them in writing and
Okay.
I will pass them on to Matt and Matt will consider that.
Great.
Um,
But can I also
Can I
just
add
ask
something?
one process question, and then you can go. Is it sort of normal course of action that 5 steps happen before the board is notified? So
Well,
this could all
it-
be going on and the Board of Trustees would know nothing.
It's possible, depending on how quickly, something may be able to get resolved, right, between the employee and the foreman, or the employee and the supervisor, immediate supervisor. So, the idea is that they are handling it or working through it, because some of these things are pretty small.
Mhm.
That, now, at the same time, please write down your concerns with what was
I will.
here, because Matt would be more than happy to review it.
Okay, I'm sorry to be late again on that.
So while you're writing down that concern, or if you want me to also send concern, the one thing, I caught that bit about the direct supervisor, right? There's no, like, you're supposed to give your grievance against your direct supervisor to your direct supervisor. That doesn't.
It
seem
may
quite
not be
right.
against the direct supervisor.
But what if it were?
is?
Well, then write it down and I'll give it to
And
Matt.
so, and then the other piece is there's nothing in here prohibiting retaliation. So, in most contracts I've seen, which admittedly is not a lot, but that retaliation, like if I file a grievance, I can't be retaliated against for having done that. So I didn't know if that was something we maybe wanted to also have into this.
We'll write it down.
And then last but not least, and it is kind of least, but not really, it's the grievance procedure for non-contract, not non-contact.
That could be straightened around.
I like that,
Yeah,
but I like it.
I kind of liked it too. I was like, that's good.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
And you'll put mine in there? Thank you.
I may call you.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, new business. I do have one item to add on the new business line, to be high, accept high bid for timber sales. I just got that today, and sooner we act on that. Okay, first item, authorized payment of vouchers and transfer of funds.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is take action on golf course employees, Mark Bickelhoff, Gil Bishop, Bill Hayes, Michael Point, Walt Rexford.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed?
But we need a salary.
But yeah, at 13.20 per hour.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next item is take action on rec employee Jacob Cockrell. Yeah, part-time. Same $13.20 an hour.
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion?
Is this the one,
Oh.
the
He
young man
was the
replacing?
one that we were going to hire for part-time in the winter,
Uh-huh,
but then it was basically the end of the season by we got there.
uh-huh.
And with Bobby leaving.
That's what I was wondering. This
He
is
is
Bobby's
willing to
replacement.
jump in for part-time.
Awesome,
So
great.
we already have one part-timer who was already working for us.
Uh-huh,
And then so this will be our second one to replace Bobby when he goes to Alaska. for 2 weeks.
great.
Okay. Next item is the Labor Day proclamation.
Arbor.
Oh, Arbor Day, I'm sorry. Right out of my, whatever.
Let's
Arbor
not get
Day.
in too much of a hurry for Labor Day.
No, I'm just-
The whole
Yeah,
summer
no,
to enjoy.
I missed the whole summer.
I know.
You
There it
don't
went.
even say it.
Process of opening this up. Arbor Day proclamation. I won't read it, but this is, we do this every year. It allows, it lets several things happen, including some of the funding that comes for Arbor Day. The day this year is the 29th
April.
of, yes, this month, April 29th. And I think they have their meeting scheduled in the park and in the river
They do.
for at noon. So,
They do.
I'm not fine with you not reading it, but I do think that it's pretty cool that this is the
Yeah, me too.
150th anniversary of Arbor Day, the 50th anniversary of the Arbor Day Foundation, and that our village certification as a Tree City USA is 10 consecutive years long.
10 years.
Double digits.
How about the not reading it, does it need to be read in? for
it'll be in the agenda or in the minutes.
Just want to make sure we weren't missing the.
No, I'll
Requirement.
sign it and she'll get a copy of it. Matter of fact, she has a copy of it now.
very nice.
Yes, that's great.
Okay, we had a request for garden share Village Park use.
Yep, that is just another, Garden Share will have their annual Fight Hunger 5K, and they're enlarging it into sort of a bigger outreach and education event. They have permission from the Presbyterian Church to have it on September 18th. That's a Sunday in the park, and so they just need us to approve that as well. So I would like to make a motion that we approve that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, discuss and take action on the 22-23 village budget. The resolution, there is a resolution in the back of your books. It does
yeah.
need to include that. Also includes the percent increase in our water rates and sewer rates.
Mhm. Melissa.
Any discussion?
Wait,
How about a motion and a second? So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any
Aye.
further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is it says authorize re-levy of unpaid water and sewer taxes.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item, approve cyber liability insurance. We moved forward on that, and this is to cover us for moving forward, but we felt that under the circumstances, it was important to get this policy in place immediately. You know, we felt that there was an urgency in that.
Mhm.
It's $1 million policy. And it really is needed. Along with that, they did do some interviews with our provider, and we're satisfied that they are taking proper steps.
Good.
To protect us here.
Oh, good.
It's
It's an added benefit.
That doesn't mean that, we're out of
Right.
the woods, but
Right.
we are trying.
We're doing what we can
We
do.
have, yes. So,
Great.
Well, I think that's really great.
Yeah, I think that's
Yep.
forward thinking. I like that.
good move.
Yep.
Need a motion to move that. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Timber sale, last item that I added. I just got this in the mail. I had given Henry Keller the information to Tim, because that will now be on his plate.
Actually left him a voicemail today.
Did you? Okay, and I'll hand this to you when we're done. There is a 104 acre plot that was marked and has been sent out for bid. And the high bid was Michael Leindecker for $62,500. And Calvin Zier was $50,000. So it would be our recommendation that you accept the high bid, $62,500 for that sale of timber. This is the third lot, I think,
On the Highlands.
on the uplands.
Uplands.
And then he will be
Here in
paid a
Scotland all the
commission
time.
out of that.
And is this, are they clear cutting or
No,
is, this-
no,
so they're
it's
just,
Selective cutting.
perfect.
Yeah, if you drive up there, all the trees are marked. If they're cutting.
Mhm.
It's selective cutting. We do this every 10 years or so.
Mhm.
Keeps the forest right and
Excellent.
helps us. So I need a motion to accept the high bid.
Still moved.
Still moved.
Or a second. Either
I
way.
have a budget question. Where does that money go?
Sally just watched me ask that question.
In the water.
And with my eyes.
It goes into water.
Building water,
Oh, that makes
And-
sense.
because it's an
Right.
upland
It's in
water.
the
property.
uplands. So
Do they?
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? You want to contact him about this then?
Yeah.
That it was accepted at
That's
our
right.
meeting tonight?
That's a lot of work.
Okay.
Cool.
Public comment. Any comment from the public? Okay, there being none, Need a motion to go into executive session. Item H on the list for the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
We are in executive session. Sally and Jerry, stay.